For 2 years, this little girl had not spoken a single word. Not to doctors, not to therapists, not even to her own mother. Then one morning, the neighborhood garbage man handed her a daisy, and months later, she whispered something that made an exhausted mother break down in tears. Jack Harland had spent almost 20 years riding the back roads and suburban streets of Maplewood in the same garbage truck, watching the town wake up one driveway at a time. He was 42, broad-shouldered, weathered by sun and cold mornings, with rough hands, faded orange coveralls, and the kind of steady smile people trusted without knowing why. He was also a single father. Every morning before school, his 6-year-old daughter Emily sat on the porch steps of their small rented house and waited for him to pull away. She always waved first. Jack always waved back twice, one big wave for fun and one slower wave just for her. Across the street, 3 houses down, stood a larger home with tall windows, trimmed hedges, and a black sedan that usually sat in the driveway before sunrise. That house belonged to Claire Donovan. Claire was in her late 30s, a successful attorney, always moving fast, always dressed sharply, always carrying the look of someone trying to hold a whole life together. And beside her, almost always quiet and tucked close, was her 4-year-old daughter Lily. Lily had soft blonde curls, wide watchful eyes, and a way of looking at the world that felt older than a child should ever have to be. She had not spoken since she was 2. At first, doctors called it selective mutism, then maybe developmental delay. Then they stopped using words that sounded hopeful and started speaking in careful tones Claire had grown to hate. She had tried everything: speech therapy, play therapy, specialists in the city, music sessions, child psychologists, gentle routines, color charts, reward systems. Nothing pulled a voice out of Lily. The little girl nodded sometimes and pointed when she wanted something. She made the faintest hum when she felt safe enough. But words never came, and that silence had become the heaviest thing in Claire's life. She loved her daughter fiercely, but love did not make her less tired. It did not make the house feel less quiet. It did not stop her from lying awake at night, wondering whether she was failing the one person who mattered most. That fear sat with her every night. One humid Tuesday at the beginning of summer, Jack's route brought him down their street just as Claire was trying to get Lily into the car for preschool. She was half on the phone, half distracted, already late. Lily drifted a few steps ahead, holding a worn, stuffed rabbit by one ear. That was when she saw Jack. He was crouched beside the truck, tying off a heavy green yard-waste bag with slow, practiced hands. There was nothing dramatic about the moment. No music, no miracle. Just a man doing ordinary work with unusual patience. Lily stopped walking. She stood there in her little pink dress and stared. Jack looked up and noticed her. For a second, he said nothing. He did not crowd her, did not ask too much, did not put on that exaggerated grown-up sweetness children can feel from a mile away. He just smiled. "Well, hey there, sweetheart," he said softly. His voice was low and warm, easy as an old song playing in another room. Lily didn't move closer, but she didn't back away either. She just kept looking at him, at the orange coveralls, at the reflective strips catching the sun. She looked at the huge truck behind him and at the calm in his face. Jack slipped one hand into his pocket and pulled out a small daisy. It was a little bent, a little imperfect, the kind of flower most people would never notice growing near the edge of a lawn. He held it out on his open palm. No pressure, no insistence, just an offering. "Found this on the way over," he said. "Figured it shouldn't be by itself." Lily stared at the flower, then at him. Then, after a pause so small most people would have missed how important it was, she stepped forward and took it. Her fingers closed around that daisy like it mattered. And somehow in that quiet suburban street, with a truck engine idling and a lawnmower humming in the distance, the whole world seemed to slow down. Jack nodded once, like the two of them had just agreed on something private. "You keep that safe," he murmured. "Flowers do better when somebody looks after them." Lily looked down at the daisy, then back up at him. Her lips parted. No sound came, but for the first time a small smile touched her face. Not big, not dramatic, just a shy, careful little smile. From near the car, Claire turned and saw it. She saw her daughter standing near a garbage truck, holding a flower from a man in orange coveralls and smiling. It was such a tiny thing. But for a mother who had been living in emotional winter for 2 years, it felt like the first crack in the ice. The next Tuesday, Lily was waiting for him. This time she stood near the walkway with a piece of construction paper in both hands. When Jack climbed down from the truck, she held it out without a word. It was a child's drawing, a stick figure in orange, a white circle for a hat, a green bag in one hand. Jack looked at it like someone had handed him a priceless painting. "Well now," he said, eyes widening, "this right here might be the finest portrait anybody's done of me all year." Lily watched him carefully. He tapped the drawing lightly. "You even got the hat right." That tiny smile came back. Jack folded the paper with ridiculous care and tucked it into the chest pocket of his coveralls. "Goes right here," he said. "Makes the heavy lifting easier." And from there something began, not fast, not loudly, but real. Week after week, Lily waited for the truck. She still didn't speak, but she started bringing him small treasures. A smooth river stone, a yellow leaf shaped like a star, a pine cone. Once, a tiny origami crane her mother had helped her fold the night before. And every single time, Jack received the gift with the same gentle seriousness. He treated each little thing like it mattered, like what she handed him deserved respect. And Lily seemed to feel that. In return, he gave her little stories, nothing too big, nothing forced. Just pieces of life. He told her about the raccoons that kept knocking over lids behind the apartments on Elm Street, about how the truck made a funny sound whenever it hit a certain bump. He told her about Emily trying to count stars and always losing track, about a squirrel that seemed personally offended by garbage collection every Thursday morning. He never talked at Lily. He talked beside her, around her. He gave her space to listen without asking for anything back. And slowly, Claire began to notice something changing. At first, she watched from the front window. Then from the porch, then from the driveway, arms crossed, pretending she was only standing there by accident. But what she saw was impossible to ignore. Lily's shoulders loosened around Jack. Her eyes brightened when the truck turned onto the street. The little girl who stayed closed around almost everyone seemed to unfold a little near him. One morning, Claire stepped closer while Lily carefully placed a pine cone into Jack's hand. "Thank you," Claire said quietly. Jack looked up. "For what?" She lowered her voice. "For being kind to her." Even saying that much seemed to cost her something. "Most people don't know what to do with silence," she said. Jack wiped his hands on a rag and glanced at Lily. "Kids know who feels safe," he said. "They usually know before adults do." Claire lowered her eyes for a second. "She hasn't said anything," she admitted. "Not in years," Jack nodded slowly, without surprise, without pity. "Words aren't always first," he said. "Sometimes trust comes before language. Sometimes a heart needs room before a voice can step into it." That was the first time Claire looked at him as more than the man on the route. Not because he had fixed anything, but because he had understood something no expert had managed to say in a way that made her breathe easier. Summer gave way to fall. The air sharpened. Leaves began gathering in amber drifts along the curb. Then came winter, blanketing the street in quiet white. Still, the ritual continued. Some Tuesdays, Lily brought a treasure. Some Tuesdays, she only came to stand near the truck and listen. Sometimes Emily rode along on a Saturday and waved from the passenger side, making Lily smile even wider. The weeks turned into months. And with every passing visit, it became clearer that something inside Lily was slowly, steadily moving toward the light. Then came one late autumn afternoon, cool and golden, the kind where sunset starts early and paints everything in soft amber. Jack pulled up like always. Lily was already waiting. No gift in her hand this time, no folded paper, no flower, just Lily. Jack stepped down from the truck and knelt so they were eye level. "Well," he said gently, "you look like you've got something important on your mind today." Lily took one small step forward, then another. She reached out and placed both hands on his forearm. Jack went still. The whole street seemed to hold its breath with him. On the porch behind them, Claire had just stepped outside with her phone in hand. She stopped when she saw Lily move closer. Jack didn't speak, didn't rush the moment, didn't break it. Lily looked straight into his eyes, her lips trembled slightly. And then, in a whisper so soft it almost disappeared into the evening air, she said, "Thank you." 2 words, that was all. But after years of silence, it felt bigger than thunder. Jack's eyes filled at once. He swallowed hard and smiled, but he still didn't answer right away. He just laid his large hand softly over hers and nodded. Like he understood exactly how much courage those 2 words had cost her. Behind them, Claire stood frozen. Her phone slipped loose in her hand. Tears spilled down her face before she even realized she was crying. Lily turned away from Jack and walked back toward her mother. Then she looked up at her, still in that same small, fragile whisper. "Mommy, Jack is nice." That did it. Claire dropped to her knees and pulled her daughter into her arms. She held her like she was trying to gather up every broken, hopeful, exhausted part of the last 2 years all at once. And for the first time in a very long time, Lily wrapped her arms around her mother without hesitation. It was the kind of moment that leaves a mark on everyone who sees it. That night, Jack sat on his porch with Emily tucked against his side under an old blanket. The air was cold. The street was quiet, and he told her about Lily's words. Emily listened carefully, the way only children do when they know something important has happened. Then she tilted her head and asked, "Dad, why do you think she talked to you?" Jack sat with that question for a while. Then he looked out toward the dark street and said, "Maybe she just needed someone who wasn't trying to pull words out of her. Someone willing to stay long enough for her to feel seen." Emily leaned against him a little harder. Jack kissed the top of her head. "Sometimes," he said softly, "that's all a person is waiting for." After that, Lily's voice didn't come all at once. It came the way spring comes after a hard winter. Quietly at first, a whisper here, a few words there, then little sentences, then questions, then laughter, then the bright, unstoppable chatter of a child finally stepping fully back into the world. Claire began leaving work earlier. The porch light stayed on longer in the evenings. Some weekends she and Jack shared coffee while the girls talked nearby. Not because life had suddenly become perfect, but because something gentle had entered all of their lives and changed its shape. And every Tuesday morning, no matter the season, Jack's truck still rolled a little slower past that house. Lily would run to the sidewalk and wave with all the energy she used to keep trapped inside. "Hi, Jack," she'd call, clear and strong. And Jack always answered the same way, one big wave, one slower wave just for her. Because in the end, the moments that change a life rarely look dramatic from the outside. Sometimes they look like a tired man in faded orange coveralls, stopping long enough to be gentle. Sometimes they look like a little girl with no words left learning, at last, that her voice is safe to come home to.